Shabbat Shalom. Well, this is cozy. It's so nice to be back in our Corman Hall and feel the warmth of the space and to see all of your faces here. I know it's been a busy week of serving your community, maybe serving your businesses, and tonight really is our opportunity to look inside and serve our spiritual selves and to dial in a little bit of Shabbat. So wonderful to see you. We're going to begin with words that are pretty easy because they're not really words. It's a nigun. So as you feel comfortable, please join us. Cantor Smolash will help to lead some of the responses as well. And Shabbat Shalom. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Ya na 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 na. Ya na 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 na. Ya na na. Ya na na. Ya na na. Ya na 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 na. Ya na na na. Here we go. Try that with us. Ya na 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 na. Ya na 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 na. Ya na. Ya na. Ya na. Ya na na.
Hold on. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's so nice to be here with all of you. I love being in a full room. It's the best. And what I love even more than being in a full room is coming into a full room and seeing my best friend, Austin, run up from wherever he is to give me a big hug. Where are you, Austin? Raise your hand. Yes, Austin's right there. So Austin tonight is going to join us along with his grandmother, Eileen, to come and begin our service lighting our Shabbat candles. And we'll read on page 13.
Light is the foundation of life, yet impossible to touch. Light is flowers growing and fruit trees blossoming, photosynthesis and rainbows shimmering. Light is energy and romance, enlightenment and lightning. Light is is red and violet and magenta and blue. Lasers and campfires, warmth of illumination, the sunset and dawn. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'mikner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalikner shel Shabbat.
That was one very special way to welcome Shabbat, and we welcome the Sabbath bride together as we celebrate this sacred moment of rest and renewal. We turn to page 34 for Lecha Dodi.
Everybody join us, sing after Cantor Michaels. Join with us in the response.
Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
B'nei Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Kabbalat,
Kabbalat,
Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
B'nei Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Kabbalat,
Kabbalat,
Shamor v'zachor v'diburecha, Ishmiyanu v'elcham yuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad, Shemu tiferet v'tila, Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Kala,
Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Kabbalat,
Kabbalat,
Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
Likrat Kala,
Likrat Kala,
B'nei Shabbat,
B'nei Shabbat,
Kabbalat,
Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mikol הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה
B'nei Shabbat,
בני שבת
Kabbalat,
לקבלה
Lecha Dodi,
חדודי
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה
B'nei Shabbat,
בני שבת
Kabbalat.
לקבלה
Rise together. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi,
חדודי
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה
B'nei Shabbat,
בני שבת
Kabbalat,
לקבלה
Lecha Dodi,
חדודי
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה
B'nei Shabbat,
בני שבת
Kabbalat, Lecha Dodi,
חדודי
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה
B'nei Shabbat,
בני שבת
Kabbalat,
לקבלה
Lecha Dodi,
חדודי
Likrat Kala,
לקראת קלה
B'nei Shabbat,
בני שבת
Kabbalat.
לקבלה
Lecha dodi,
Lecha dodi,
Lecha dodi,
Lecha dodi,
Lecha dodi,
Lecha dodi,
Lecha dodi. We rise together for the call to worship.
Two, three, four. All together. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
We turn in our prayer books to page 56. And in just a few minutes, we'll be celebrating 2 Ufrufs. Not right this second, in a few minutes. And it causes me to consider this idea of unconditional love. The love that our couples share with one another, and the love in this moment that we will be sharing with God as we are about to pray the Shema. And so we turn to the bottom of page 66, and let's all read together. You didn't have to command me to love you. I'd have loved you anyway. You remembered me when it felt like everyone else had forgotten. You were kind when the world wasn't. You were the spark of light in the dark when I needed to find my way. In you, I found strength, courage, hope. So you didn't have to command me to love you. I'd have loved you anyway.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. And you shall love Adonai with all your soul,
all your soul,
all your mind.
all your mind.
Teach these words
Teach these words
through day and night
day and night
to all your
to all
children,
your children.
for it's their right.
Right.
Wear them proudly as a sign upon your hand, and as a crown above your eyes.
Your eye.
You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates throughout all time.
So now's the time for the uplifts. It is at this moment that we're so happy to invite two couples forward on the bima as we bless them in front of their community of family and friends and this entire Temple Israel community as they're about to stand under their respective chuppahs. And so it is with great pleasure that we invite Amber Colson and Alex Ketchum to come forward, and Mila Kuznetsov and Eric Giraldo also to come forward now as we celebrate your Ufruf wedding blessing. And as we do, we have gifts for you, a gift of a membership at Temple, as well as a mezuzah to place upon the doorposts of your house.
Bruchim abayim b'shem Adonai, berachnuchem mi beit Adonai.
This is such a wonderful night to celebrate the two couples about to stand under the chuppah and to pledge your lives to each other. And so tonight, we are offering you this blessing that your love is sanctified, that you are able to create a home built on the values that you share, the values that made you fall in love with each other in the first place. We ask that your chuppah, the wedding canopy that you will stand under, be transformed into a home of openness, a home of hospitality, a home that's filled with love and happiness and depth and laughter and friendship, because it's a home that you will create together. May you always be with them, O God, guiding them and supporting them, encouraging them in all of life's experiences. And we ask that God grants both couples a wonderful gift, and that is the gift of peace. As together we say, Amen. Amen. Congratulations. Mazel tov.
Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Simen tov, yehelanu. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Simen tov, yehelanu. Mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, yehelanu.
So happy to celebrate couples in love. And it's so happy to see the smiles on your faces. They couldn't get any bigger. And so it really means a lot for us to be able to celebrate as a community. Well, today I actually spent a large part of the day in a conference for Black and Jewish unity. And it was really a magnificent day. It included tours of both the Holocaust Memorial Center and the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History in Detroit. And both exhibits are amazing, and if you haven't been to one or both of them, you really should make an effort to go. It's really an incredible learning and heartfelt experience. And one of the things I noticed was how similar both exhibits were. The stories are intertwined, and it kind of just related to us, once again, how connected the two stories are of Jewish persecution and Black persecution. I noticed at the Holocaust Center how our guide commented about the use of light in the museum's exhibit. So some of you might be docents and you're very much aware of this, but the exhibit begins with the use of natural light, and it ends with the use of natural light. And of course, the middle is dimly lit. It's actually quite dark inside. And so this use of light throughout the museum kind of reflects the theme that no matter how bad things get, there's always hope. There's always hope for freedom, and there's always hope for redemption. And so it was interesting how the exhibit at the Holocaust Center ended with this incredible art exhibit. And the exhibit at the Charles Wright Museum ended with this incredible mosaic of the skyline of Detroit, it was a mosaic skyline made up of faces of people who live in the city of Detroit. And so I actually left both of these exhibits feeling hopeful. And it's really, ironically, the same feeling that I get when I reach this point in the service. It's a sense of hope, it's a sense of freedom, and it's a sense of redemption. And so as we turn now to Michamocha, as page 62, we sing our song of freedom.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha b'davar kodesh, Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha b'davar kodesh. Torah כי פרד אדוני את יעקב, וגהלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Please join me in a prayer for peace in the middle of page 64. Cause us, our Creator, to lie down in peace, and raise us up, O sovereign God, to renewed life and peace. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and be our shield of mercy and of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותה בריתו לה. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We're singing now, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We rise together for the Amidah. Page 68. Adonai, sifatai tiftachu fi yagid tehillatcha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Vezocher Hastei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Chozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו נשעני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמנתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please be seated. As you're seated, we take a moment for silent prayer. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. סלאם עלינו ועל כל העולם. סלאם שלום. סלאם עלינו ועל כל העולם. סלאם שלום.
So my Facebook feed right now is filled with pictures of families taking their children to college. I don't know if it is for you too. I see a lot of nodding heads, yeah. Well, I'm one of them. So some of you have been asking how it's going, how my son is settling into college. It's kind of far away from here. And we really should be asking how I'm doing, right? He's doing fine. He's doing fine. He's doing better than fine. So here's my story. I told a few people as we were coming in. So I thought I was doing really well. And we said our goodbyes, walking down the stairs. I turned to my husband. I said, I did really well. And he's like, yeah, you did really well. We're walking out. We're really proud of ourselves. And walking towards us is this young woman. She's coming from the parking lot. She's clearly just said goodbye to her parents. Her face is just streaming with tears. Her eyes are red. We looked at each other and we burst into tears. So it kind of brought me to this moment of the Mishaberach, because some of us need healing in different ways. Some of us need healing because we're ill. Some of us need healing because we need support, either physically or emotionally. And so we're here together to support each other, to pray for each other, to love each other. And so we turn to page, I think it's 83, for the Mishaberach, as we feel that connection between all who are ill and needing any special prayer for healing.
May the
are familiar with the rabbi's coming, the rabbi's going. You know, one of Rabbi Loss's granddaughters, bat mitzvah, is tonight. So, yeah, we're back in our suits, and we're all going to head over there. So we imported another rabbi. If you haven't met Rabbi Jeff Stamba, he is the executive director of The Well, which is an incredible organization that puts together programming for young adults all through the year, connected to all kinds of holidays. If you want to know what Obi-Wan Kenobi has to do with the Torah, ask Rabbi Jeff. But he's wonderful. He's here with his wife, Stephanie, and we are so glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. It really is an honor to be able to share some Torah and do some learning with you tonight. Shabbat Shalom. So when I was in rabbinical school, I had a student pulpit in Redding, California. Rookie rabbis going off and being a rabbi in small congregations. This was like 2 hours north of Sacramento, only a couple hours away from the Oregon border. I traveled there once a month for 2 years, and I honestly loved every minute of it. It was a very small, very special, very rural congregation. And in my second year of this, a Chabad rabbi moved into town of Redding and invited me over to his home for Shabbat lunch, and it was lovely. We got into a huge fight over one of my favorite subjects in the Jewish tradition, which is questioning. Questioning, asking questions. I held that it was our duty, our Jewish duty, to question and interrogate every part of Jewish thought. Every idea, every letter, every story was on the table for cross-examination, even the existence of God. He, on the other hand, held that it was our duty, our Jewish duty, to question and interrogate every part of Jewish thought. Every idea, every letter, every story was on the table for cross-examination until the existence of God. Truly, I had thought that this was going to be a layup. The value of asking questions would be the thing to bring us together around the table before we really started to get to know each other. And it turned out to quickly escalate into a dramatic and heated debate. I remember citing Baruch Spinoza, the 17th century Portuguese Jewish Sephardic philosopher, famed for his early rationalist thinking, and made even more famous really for being excommunicated from his Jewish community for heresy. Spinoza questioned the existence of God and claimed that because the Torah was not written by God, rather by people, that it was fallible. And I did think that this was sound evidence to support my case, because it was Spinoza and his controversial line of questioning that would later be validated and inspire a generation of great Jewish thinkers in the Haskalah, the Jewish Enlightenment. And I thought that that line of questioning had to be worth something, right? My Orthodox colleague, among other references, called out to me deoraita, meaning it's right there in the Torah, stupid. You can't question God's existence. We left our debate at an impasse, agreeing to disagree about the boundaries of asking questions. And only now, years later, digging into this week's Torah portion, I can honestly say that I'm starting to empathize with his position. Questions are at the core of Judaism, a critical feature. We should question everything. We should consider other ideas and ways of thinking, right? This, after all, is one of the key aspects that distinguishes Judaism from other faith traditions. Questioning keeps us honest, helps us grow, helps us explore and discover who we are and what we believe in. And this intergenerational game of questions and answers is a check and a balance, a safeguard against falsehoods and posers, right? Right? Judaism implores us to be curious, but is there a line? Are there curiosities that step over a sacred boundary? Look, I set before you on this day a blessing and a curse. Blessing if you obey the commandments of your God, and curse if you do not obey the commandments of your God, and or turn away from the path and follow other gods whom you have not experienced. This is the beginning of this week's Torah portion, Parshat Re'eh. And clearly there's a line that we're being warned against crossing. And it seems rather stark There are blessings, there are curses, there are consequences. There is good and bad, there is right and wrong, and straying from this is literally a matter of life and death. And curses here are not just about disobedience, but veering away from God, from capital T, truth. Curse if you turn away from the path and follow other gods. And then this really interesting stipulation, gods whom you have not experienced. What does that mean? Is this an implication about my personal experience? If I had experiences with other gods, is my path different from your path? For me, I grew up in an interfaith home where the boundaries of inquiry and experience were not limited to the Jewish tradition. And questions were always encouraged, embraced, and explored. My mom grew up Jewish, and Dad would say he never deeply resonated with the Christianity he was raised on, but found more meaning in Buddhism, Taoism, and his Kung Fu practice, and ultimately Judaism also. And when I would ask my parents how they could possibly have ever gotten together when Mom was Jewish and Dad wasn't, they would say, well, because we were spiritually on the same page. There were mezuzahs on the doors, a glass case for Passover ware and other Judaica, and there were also Japanese art and kanji on the wall, a Buddha in the garden, a bonsai tree that lived on one of the speakers in the living room for a long time. Dad even made a sand garden outside the porch, very zen. We celebrated Hanukkah and Christmas, Passover, but no Easter. For me, the experience of growing up in an interfaith home was a blessing, not a curse. My parents' modeling of mutual embrace, of the intellectual curiosity and ritual parts of who they were, created a spiritually healthy environment for me and my sister. And I would hold that my commitment to Judaism is made stronger on account of these other gods whom I experienced. I feel equipped with more access points, maybe, to understand Jewish wisdom, at least more permission to draw connections and insight from broader places. More ways to do it right, not more ways to get it wrong. Questions create. They create new circumstances. They create new choices. They create ways to create more love, and they even create more ways to make more harm, whether that's harm to others or even ourselves. And to this, I must say I have to at least partially concede to my Chabad friend in Reading. There's no refuting the argument that the Torah is asking us to keep our curiosity in check here, particularly around God, around the deep truths that make us who you are. And even if we're like Spinoza, more rational and not a deep God believer, there's a clear boundary, a clear teaching being raised here that says, don't peek too far around the corner. And to be fair, there is important and extensive wisdom for curiosity gatekeeping, regulating content, or our answers to questions is crucial, if not kind, depending on the circumstances, maybe the age or experience of a child or an adult or even an elder, even if and when that inquiry is innocent and honest. But what about when we direct our questioning inwards towards ourselves? We are at this moment about to be in the month of Elul, which kicks off the high holiday season, a month where we're supposed to set aside some real time each day to engage in self-evaluation, some reflection, to start asking some pointed questions about what we believe in and what you stand for. Cheshbon HaNefesh, a complete spiritual accounting to wake up to who we want to be in the world. Are there off-limit lines of inquiry here? Questions or a subject we're better off not asking for the sake of our well-being? Long before I met my beautiful wife, Stephanie, I was in a super unhealthy and toxic relationship for like 6 years. And I will never forget it when my friend sat me down and looked me straight in the face and asked me a hard question. Jeff, are you happy? And I said no. And I like to say without any sarcasm that my friend saved my life that night. And I was only 2 years into this 6-year saga, because at the time, I couldn't imagine any alternative to being in that relationship, or that world I'd set up for myself to look any different, to be in a world where the lines of questioning were limited. There were lines of questioning that I wouldn't let myself engage with, which kept me trapped in a seemingly endless cycle of being stuck between what I understood as right and wrong, what I understood as a blessing or a curse. After we split, I did the very Jewish thing and found a therapist who helped me reframe my black and white, right and wrong, all or nothing way of thinking. She said, what if you replaced the words, right and wrong, with healthy and unhealthy? It seems so obvious and plain to me now, but this recalibration completely changed my boundaries of self-inquiry in terms of what I was allowed or not allowed to examine inside of my own behavior, my own choices, my own algorithm for making decisions. Shifting this question of what was healthy and unhealthy, or what was wrong or right, was central, and it created new space. This question created new space for growth, new space for truth. Blessings and curses, I believe, are a similar tool. Blessings nourish and create space for gratitude and healing, and curses harm and create space for shame and resentment. My suggestion here is to resist a binary thinking and instead reach towards bravery and honesty and maybe even a little faith as you start your self-examination during Elul and find new priorities or maybe upgrade beliefs that will come to define you in this next year. And finally, a reminder that while this reflective inward thinking and questioning process is maybe private, that you're not in it alone. Judaism is about doing this with other people, to come together like this to pray and to think and to examine and learn. Ritual and community are also guideposts and safeguards that will keep us from falling into a cursed place or straying from the path of our own truth. Praying and discussing on this journey together is what will bring us closer to ourselves and a light that you want to share in the world. At the well, we have a Thursday morning for young adults, like 22 to 40-ish. We have a morning nourish from 8:30 to 9 in the morning every Thursday morning. And this has been our safe place, especially in this lead up to the high holidays, to share and create accountability, to become witnesses to each other's growth while learning and practicing mindfulness, especially during this time. So as we approach Shabbat, as we approach Elul on this Shabbat, may you use this season to embrace the questions on your heart, to remember that questions create, and through those questions may you discover some new inner wisdom to step into the next chapter of your life with open curiosity. Shabbat Shalom.
cannot drive out the darkness. Only light drive the darkness away. Hate cannot drive out the hatred. Only love can bring the dawning of the day. There's a time when peace will be upon us, the time for which the prophets wait, but the time to embrace one another is here and today.
On the work that lies before us, though we may not live to see fulfillment day, we can't wait for someone else to write the chorus. It's only us that says the words we need to say.
There's a time when peace will be upon us, time for which the prophets wait, but the time to embrace one another is here and today. Here and today. Blackest night is pierced by a single candle. Silence is erased by just one voice.
In this time of ignorance and anger, let us come together and rejoice. Here and today. Here and
commenting on the beautiful voice that we're hearing. So Cantor Michaels, in case people don't know, can you please introduce this beautiful voice?
It is my great pleasure. For those who don't already know, this is Aaron Markovitz, our Zipser Foundation Artist in Residence. We are delighted to be welcoming him into our community since the beginning of the summer, really, for those who've been joining us outside for our Shabbat Under the Stars. And throughout the rest of the year, you can expect to see more and more of him. We are delighted to have not only his beautiful voice, but his spectacular ability to write music. I don't know if you've heard any of his compositions, but there is much to look forward to there, and his spectacular musicianship. So welcome, Aaron.
Welcome, welcome. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew who he was. And so now it's my pleasure to invite our new executive director, Jason Plotkin, forward to deliver our announcements. If you haven't met Jason, please introduce yourself. He is getting all of us together before the high holidays. And I mean like our act together, not like, social.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Shalom. We're learning, right? It's so nice to be here celebrating with all of you, and of course, Mazel Tov to those who received a blessing tonight. Just a few announcements about some of our upcoming events. First, I know we have found ourselves in many of our different beautiful spaces around the synagogue on Friday nights. Starting next week, or maybe the week after, our goal is to put in the weekly email where our Friday night location is. I think this will help us all navigate where we're supposed to be on Friday nights. I should add the caveat that please know if we list our outdoor pavilion, certainly that's weather permitting, but from what everyone has told me, this is what the weather is like year-round, so I'm excited about this. Am I wrong? I guess we'll find out in a few months. Ready or not, as was mentioned, the High Holy Days are coming. Join Rabbi Kaluzny tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. as she helps us to prepare our souls for the High Holy Days. The Labor Day picnic is back. Mark your calendars for Monday, September 5th for the return of this wonderful community event. We thank the Morris and Esther Bitker Picnic Fund for supporting the annual picnic. And of course, the Brotherhood would want me to announce that there will be a blood drive this year. So if you're ready, roll up your sleeves. Lastly, please join us after services in the atrium right outside for Oneg and Shabbat greetings. And of course, on behalf of the officers and members of the Board of Trustees, we wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
And I just want to put in a plug. If you are going to come to the Labor Day picnic or any one of your friends and family, we are doing a school supply drive for Afghan children that are living in Washtenaw County that are refugees here. And also, we know of about 125 Ukrainian children who are at 2 schools right now, a Catholic school and the Manugian school. And as a parent who has just bought a ton of school supplies, it's pretty crazy trying to outfit your kids for school. So we will be collecting the supplies. I will take them to Washtenaw County, and we will get them to the Ukrainian children. So please bring what you can. Thank you. And please rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו גורים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. I've been talking to a lot of people about signs that their loved ones have given them. So there's a reading on 197 that I think speaks to that. Do you come to me in the flicker of a lamp, in a shadow, in the spot I see in the corner of my eye? Do you visit me in the music we used to listen to, in the foods we used to share, in the house where we lived? Some days your spirit is heavy. Other days I grab at the air and I'm left with empty hands. Please visit me. I am waiting for you, awaiting a sign from you. A sign of you, a flicker of your spirit. I carry you every day in my heart. This Shabbat, we remember those who have died in the past 30 days, the period of Shloshim. Leonard Applebaum, Norman Benjamin, Matthew Brand, Andrea Chanis, Norton Dilladow, David Eliasberg, Herschel Epstein, Dr. Lionel Finkelstein, Nancy Firestone, Kathleen Kathy Arlo Grant, Rona Grossman, Dr. Bertrand Burt Jacobs, Brian Kingston, Craig Crewman, Dorothy Comorn Malin, Ronald Stephen Malamed, Dr. Anthony Michaels, Richard Ricky Moscow, Marilyn Schechter, Leo Schoenfeld, Barry Siegel, Gary Snyder, Dorothy Tesler, Michael Waxman, Dr. Sheldon Levine, and Robert Fink. We also recall the names of those whose yortzites occur on this Shabbat. Adam Apfelblatt, Alan Barron, Susan Bolton, Celia Brown, Lillian Collins, Evelyn Deutsch, Susan Dubin, Alan Frankel, Corinne Garvin, Dr. Eugene Gelzad, Robert Gladstone, Nathan Gleiber, Gary H. Goldman, Johanna Silver Gordon, Myron Greenberg, Frank G. Greenstein, Betty Hauer, Sam Jedwab, Madeline Kaplan, Jack Kyle, Michael Kenwood, Walter Klein, Devora Leah Lazarson, Sis Ryan Lechner, Dan Lyons, Harry Miller, Helen Darby Minturn, Saul Nussbaum, Harold Badalski, Harry Rothenberg, Dr. Bradley Sachs, Minnie Side, Saul Side, Doris Seller, William Seltzer, Susie Shanker, Mel Shapiro, Lester Schoenberg, Sarah Silberstein, Pearl Smaller, Jerry Wald, Larry Wasserman, Sam Wasserman, Robbie Weinberger, Sammy Weiss, Seymour Young, Nadine Miller, Elvin Gitt, Eva Kohlenberg, Jenny Goldberg-Robbins, Reuben Sonny, Eugene Jaffe, Goldie Eli Wiener, Daniel Winson, and Mildred Shubo. We remember them with love and honor them with words of Kaddish, which can be found on page 199. Please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dochol beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam le'olmei olamaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shemei dekudisha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We pray that the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us. Amen.
Amen. So our service concludes. We join together in Adon Olam, page 201 in your prayer books. Adon Olam asher mala בטרם כה יציר נברא ועת נעשה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא יחרק יקלוט הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כה יציר נברא ועת נעשה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי יפלוט הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני והמשילו להחמירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי והגואלי בצור חבלי ועצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנקוסי ביום אקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כה יציר נברא ועת נעשה וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי יפלוט הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה בידו אף כי רוחי ועת ישן והעירה ואם רוחי גוויעתי אדוני לי ולא יירא Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Shabbat shalom. 2, 3. Thanks so much.